So welcome to another segment of my mathematics videos as we continue to look at algebra concept. But this time we are focusing on paper 2 concept that you are going to be finding in the ECZ exams. So how do you go about such a, simplification when they give you in the exam? Well, this is very simple. You just pay particular attention, then you'll be able to see that indeed these are very simple. So the questions will always tell you simplify, and they may carry 2 to 3 marks in the exam. So that one, for example, the first one says that, 10a over m raised to the power to n raised to the power 2 divided by 5a raised to the power 3 over 2 m raised to the power 2 and n raised to the power 2. Remember, in all cases, when you find you're dealing with algebra, you need to remember, BODMAS. So BODMAS tells you about the order. So that all about the order. So what's the order? Bracket of division. You start with division, go to multiplication, addition, and subtraction. So in each case, you should always be referring to the order in which mathematical calculations are supposed to be done, in case you have a combination of division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. So the order is simply you start with the division, multiplication, addition, then lastly subtraction. So when you find such a situation, we need to change the division sign to multiplication sign, and therefore remember, if I've got 10a over m raised to the power 2 and n raised to the power 2, the moment I change the division sign, what is at the bottom to your right goes up, and what is at the top, goes down. So the denominator becomes the numerator, and the numerator becomes the denominator. And therefore, we are going to have 2m raised to the power 2 and n raised to the power 2 over 5a raised to the power 3. Now, of course, when you reach at such a stage, others would prefer to cancel, or you may choose to actually first of all expand. For example, what I can do there on top, it is 10 multiplied by a over there, it's m raised to the power 2, so meaning I've got 2m, m times m multiplied by how many n, n times n multiplied by, so there it will be 2 times how many m there, m times m multiply how many n, it is n times n. So you may choose first of all to expand them, then you can simplify them. At the bottom it is 5 multiply how many a, it's a raised to the power 3, so therefore there are 3a times a times a. Then of course when you reach at that stage, now you can cancel them out. So try to reduce them as simple as possible. For example, 5 there is a 1, 5 there is a 2, a there and a will cancel. I'll cancel 2m, I'll also cancel 2m from there. I'll cancel 2n that side, I'll cancel 2n in the diagonals. So what have I remained with, if you have noticed there? So on top there, we have only remained with a 2 over, what have I remained with there? Of course, it's just the 1 multiplied by, what have I remained with there? It's again a 2 over, at the bottom there, I've remained with a multiplied by a. But remember, 2 times 2 will give you a 4 over, what is 1? A times a will give you a squared. So therefore, this becomes the solution. It is 4 over a raised to the power 2. So when you simplify it, so that's the way you can do it. It's very simple and not complicated. Okay, let's move on to the B part and quickly show you again how you are going to do it. So you can choose to go directly to cancel out, or you can simply express them. Let's look at the B part there. So the B part there says 12, d raised to the power n to the power 3 over 15c d raised to the power 3 divided by 9 c to the power 3 n over 10, then c raised to the power 2, d raised to the power 2. Now, sometimes why you may choose to cancel, because you might have actually big numbers, a letter raised to a bigger number, so you may not be, content in doing all that. So it's easy sometimes to go directly. So there, remember, we need to change the division sign to multiplication sign. So therefore, it will be 12 d raised and dn raised to the power 3 over 15 cd raised to the power 3 times, that goes up, and then the numerator comes down. So it is going to be on top c squared, then d squared over 9c raised to the power 3 and n. Therefore, we can now try to expand them, so that we can cancel them. So on top, it will be 12 multiplied by d multiply how many n? There are 3n times n over, there I do have a 15 multiplied by c, it's only 1. How many d? There are 3d times d multiplied by, that is going to be 10 multiplied by c times c multiply how many d? There are just 2 that we have there, over, it is 9 multiplied by c times c multiplied by n, because it's only 1. Then we can start to cancel out there. That is what we mean. So in the diagonals, let's start with the diagonals. For example, I can see 3 there is into 9 is a 3, 3 into 12 is a 4. Do I have anything to cancel? If you notice, I can come to this diagonal there. I have a c and a c there. I do have 2 d's there. I can cancel out 2 d's there. What do I have in this diagonal? If you notice again in the diagonal, so we can also cancel on top there. It is possible, so that c and that c will also go. That n and that n will also disappear. What have I remained with? So we can, or this d and that d can cancel, that d and that d can also cancel. So what have I remained with on top? So on top I've remained with a 4 multiplied by n times n. That's what I've remained with, over, or we can also reduce that. Remember, 5 there is a 2, 5 there is a 3. So I've remained with a 3 at the bottom multiplied by, there I've remained with a 2 multiplied by, of course, this is just a 2 there, I can say, over, there I've remained with 3 multiplied by c times c. That gives you just a c times c. So when you multiply, it is going to be 4 times n, that is n squared. 4 times 2, that will give you 8n raised to the power 2, over, that is going to be 3 times 3 will give you a 9, c times c will give you c squared. So you can see that we cannot reduce that any further. So this is how far we can go. So we have simplified, and this is our option that we do have there when we simplify. All right, thank you so much. Let's move on to the C part there again and try to see how we can simplify that again. So it's not complicated. You shouldn't even be wasting time. Now, suppose you find such a situation in the exam where they have given you 25, p raised to the power 4 over 7q raised to the power 2 divided by 5, p raised to the power 6 over 21q raised to the power 4 multiplied by p over 15, q. So how can you go about that one? Well, this one is very simple. We need to start with a bracket. So if you want, you can start by dealing with the bracket. Remember, BODMAS, so the order is always you start with division. So what we can simply do there is that when I work out that, it is going to be 25 p raised to the power 4 over 7 q raised to the power 2. I'll introduce the multiplication sign. So these will exchange. The denominator will go on top, so it will be 21q raised to the power 4 over 5p raised to the power 6. Remember this side, let me use a different marker. Multiply in this case by p over 15q. Of course, you can simply reduce that. Like I said, if you want, you can expand, but because I've got very big numbers there, I think my space will be little. So what I can do, I'll just try to cancel out. Just follow me. Here I've got, how many p's are there? There are 4 p's. It's p raised to the power 4, meaning there are 4. So I can cancel all the 4. Here when I cancel 4, I'll remain with 2. P raised to the power 2. So 2 p's that I'm going to, so p raised to the power 2. There I've got 2 q's, so I can cancel them to remain with 1. There when I cancel 2 q's, I'll remain with q to the power 2. Remember, 7 there is 1. 7 into 21 is a 3. Then we can also say 5 there is a 1. 5 there into 25 is also a 5. That's what I can do. Remember, p here I've got p squared. So far, let's look at what has remained here. I've remained with a 5 over there. I've remained with just a 1 multiply there. I've remained with a 3 multiplied by q raised to the power 2 over here. I've remained with p raised to the power 2 multiplied by, in this case, p over 15q. So we can try to simplify this. So let's try to see how we can actually simplify this. So again, we can reduce further. I can say p there, 1, p there, I'll remain with just 1 p, q there, 1. If I cancel that 1 q there, I'll remain with just 1 q. 3 there is 1, 3 into 15 is 5, but notice there, 5 there, 1, 5 there will also give you a 1. So what have I remained with? If you notice there, I've remained with 1 over 1, multiply there, I've remained with a q over a p multiplied by 1 over, again, a 1. 1 times q times that will give you just a q over 1 times p times 1 will give you just a p. So this is the solution that I wanted you to get. So the final simplification is q over p. You can do that. If you want, you can expand them, then you start to cancel out. It is also, much easier for you to do. All right, let's go to the D part there. So the D part is direct. There's no need of us changing. Why? If you notice the D part there, they have already given you, there's a multiplication sign there. So you have got 7s t raised to the power 2 over 15u to the power 3 v to the power 2 multiplied by 5u to the power 3 and the v there, then 28s to the power 3, then t to the power 2. So there's no need of you changing because there the sign they have given you is a multiplication sign. So we can just go and just simplify 7 multiplied by, there's only one s. How many t? There are 2 t's that I have there over, that is going to be 15 times. How many u? There are 3 u times u multiply. How many v? V times v, there are only 2 times 5 multiplied by u times u times u times the v that we have there over 28 multiplied. How many s? We have 3s times s times s times how many t? We have got 2 t's there. Then we can try to reduce that. That's what we can do. Remember, I can cancel 2t there, can cancel 2t in the diagonals. I can cancel that v. I can also cancel this v there. I can cancel 3u's. I can cancel 3u's in that diagonal. I can see them. 5 there is a 1. 5 into 15 is a 3. I can also cancel out this s. I can cancel out 1s there. There, 7 there is a 1. How many times does 7 go into 28, please? You are at liberty to use a calculator because this is paper 2. But of course, that is a simple one. 7 into 28 is a 4. So what have you remained with there? You have actually remained with the 1 on top. Over at the bottom there, I've only remained with the 3 and a v there, multiplied by what have I remained with there? It's only 1 over. There I've remained with a 4 and I've remained with 2s, as you can see, s times s. So what will that give? 1 times 1 is a 1 over, okay, it is 3 times 4 is a 12, then that is going to be v, then s raised to the power 2. So that's what we mean when we talk about that. So it simply means you have simplified that one. So that is the way you can go about when they give you such expression. Now, of course, I'm going to talk about other simplification that you're going to see later on in my next video.